Hello, Professor Chapman. My name is Barbara Wells. And for my final project, I decided to do a video. A video in reference to Mr. Resmaa Menakem. I wanted to first start off with answering the first question in handling racialized trauma that I may be carrying within my own body. Listening to Mr. Menakem made me actually realize that my interpretation of trauma is not the only trauma. Meaning, for example, with myself, I normally looked at trauma as, things that may have happened to you, things you may have experienced in life, and things sort of in that nature. But in all actuality, trauma can be a form of, fear, things you may have seen, witness. It meaning trauma don't actually have to be directed to you. It could just be the things that you carry that gives you a form of trauma. And it just made me want to sit and evaluate myself, because I was told, before, that the way that I speak or can talk can sometimes come across aggressively. And in my mind, I'm not thinking that I sound aggressive or talking harsh in any way. And when I actually sat and thought about it and realized that's a form of trauma. It's a form of trauma because I have a guard up as if I have to protect myself from something, or, not allow someone in because I don't want to be hurt. And that's forms of trauma, things that I never again would have considered as being trauma. So it's actually just, getting a chance to sit down and acknowledge things that I never really acknowledged before, and start accepting things for, what it is, so that I may begin that part of my healing process, so that I can become a better person. With the quotes or statement or anything of that sort that actually stuck with me, there were quite a few. But the main one that actually stuck to me the most was what trauma decontextualized look like. Far as like, in a family, it looks like family traits. In people, it looks like a culture. In a person, it looks like a personality. And that alone was just so mind-blowing for me, because it was like, wow, like, I never thought about that, or I never, looked at it that way. And it just made me think about how, you can experience trauma in one part of your life and have overcame it, or, thought you healed from it. But then that trauma comes back to, I would say, haunt you in another area of your life. And it's like, wow, like even when you feel as though you may be healed, or, you may have grown to another level or outgrew it, it still finds its way back. And it's like, it keep you isolated, like it keep you feel as though you stuck. And again, it goes back to what I was saying for my first answer, in actually sitting down and acknowledging and accepting and looking at all areas that you never wanted to touch bases on or go deep within, or, it's just so much that it's not something that will happen overnight, but with practice. Because as Mr. McConum said, you don't want to call it an exercise, because an exercise is something you'll do one day and then you decide to not do it the next day, or, you skip a week and then you come back. But if you consider it as practice, it's something that will be able to turn into a habit, something that you'll continue to do because you want to continue to practice so that you can see the difference. And something I would want to pass down to my daughter or community is accepting things. Like, instead of brushing it off or overlooking it or feeling as though it's nothing, evaluate yourself, evaluate your situations, evaluate your surroundings, and accept what's for you. And if you try to handle it, in my opinion, hands on, instead of sweeping it under the rug, because in African American families it's always a thing of sweeping things under the rug, or not talking about it, or not expressing your feelings, or I think I said speaking on it. But little do you know, it grows with you. It hinders you. It puts you back into that isolation point because you're not getting it out. You just putting dirt over it. So I will really want her to understand herself, get to know herself, who she is, who she wants to be, and just dealing with anything that's concerning head on instead of just sweeping it under the rug. Thank you.